Now, having created and approved a PR, the next step would be to create a PO. However, before we create a PO, we need to also create a vendor in the system through our vendor management module. So, in this session, let's talk a little bit about the settings and then we move to vendor management so that we could create PO in subsequent shipment. So I'm logging in as an admin. So we go to the settings. So there was some toggles we did not cover in startup result, which we finish it now. So this toggle compensation says ITC eligible toggle. So this can be on if the company is eligible to claim compensation input tax credit or compensation cess. And if you see here, whatever we did in the startup result, everything gets listed in this table and gets captured in this table. So we just quickly glance through if we have covered everything in the startup result. So this enable GRN posting should always be on and by default it's on. So this allows to create assets through when a GRN is posted. And now we see if there is certain things pending. So, so if you see here, there are three things listed uh, which did not, which has to be covered in this particular session. So we go to enable manual mismatch resolution. So what this toggle allows is in case the vendor has invoiced for 100 quantities, but we have received only 99 quantities. So if this toggle is on, plus without raising a debit note, the organization can resolve the mismatch for the one quantity. So admin can keep this toggle on in case for certain trivial items, admin wishes to use this particular function. So when this is on, in case there is a quantity mismatch or one defective or one damage out of bulk quantities, then we could just say enable manual mismatch resolution, or we can just say manually resolved and and the uh, and the flag in PO or GRN gets resolved uh, without the system triggering a vendor debit note. So I'll let it be as on. And so if we see here, there are a couple of things which there's also a toggle TDS enable. So when TDS enabled is on, so the expense register and the purchase register, wherever TDS is applicable, will have a deduction column for TDS, which will be computed as per the rate and the section which the admin would feed into the system. So having this on will help organizations to use the TDS module. And this, uh, when entry is pushed from this tool to Tally, automatic TDS ledger gets necessary effect. So resulting in uh, auto upload of resulting in entries for TDS in Tally. So we will let this be on. So further, if we see here, so all of this is not mentioned. Uh, no- all of these are still available. That means we haven't set this uh, fields during our startup visit. We can quickly go and update this in case we want these to be updated. So the main thing which I see is even these fields are not set, the organization currency. So we quickly go to that startup wizard by navigating to settings, open setup wizard, and we say save. So it's probably because we haven't saved this and we've just clicked next. So now we go back to the uh, and if you can reconfirm that these are blank, that's why those fields are showing blank in that list. So we go back to that uh, system config, and now if we see the currency fields would not be showing here. So the use of this organization name is in case a organization wants a different name compared to what was the institution name when we created this organization. So uh, if this value is given in this field, so this value will be overridden in external documents such as purchase order and vendor debit note. If this is left blank, the tool will automatically pick up from institution name. So I'll leave this as is because the system would work fine even without those fields. And we move to the next session, which is TDS section. So we add these sections. So this is how the admin would choose default rates into the tool for a particular section. So considering the new income tax code coming into force, so the new section name would be something like 1024 description contractor payments, company or firm, 2%. And we could add another section 1023 contractor payments, individual or HUF. So this will be around 1%. Using professional services. I mean, 10%. Very. That's all. So once we've added these sections and the rates, the system will automatically give option in the vendor management to select which particular section applies to that particular vendor. So, so though we give these section code and rate, though we assign the section code and rate, to a particular vendor, at the time of creating PO, the user will still have an option to override these sections and rates in just in case different materials are being purchased from the same vendor. Now, having seen the settings for TDS and enable cess, we will go to vendor management in the next module.